Listen up, folks, because this is going to be a wild ride. The kind of story that'll make your blood boil and your fists clench before leaving you grinning like a kid on Christmas. I'm Caleb Monroe, 38M, a grease-stained auto mechanic from a small Tennessee town where everybody knows your business and your mama's maiden name. I run Monroe's Garage, the go-to spot for busted transmissions and neighborly gossip. Life was good. Married to my high school sweetheart, Lydia, 36F, with a cozy house, a pickup truck, and a reputation for being the guy who'd give you the shirt off his back. Until the annual church picnic turned my world into a dumpster fire. It was a sticky July afternoon, the kind where the air smells like BBQ and regret. I'd spent weeks planning the church picnic at Willow Creek Park, footing the bill for ribs, burgers, and enough sweet tea to drown a horse. Our little town loves this event. Kids running wild, old ladies swapping recipes, Pastor Glenn preaching about unity, while folks nod like bobbleheads. I'm hauling coolers from my truck when I spot Lydia, my wife, slipping into the old wooden shed behind the church with my best friend since 10th grade, Travis Boone, 40M. They're laughing, her hand on his arm, his grin too damn cozy. My gut twists like a bad spark plug, but I shake it off. They're just planning the church's new youth outreach program, right? That's what they've been yammering about for months. I keep unloading, but my buddy Hank, who runs the bait shop, sidles up with a beer and a whisper. Caleb, you see your wife and Travis sneaking off. Looked real friendly. I laugh it off. Lydia's the church treasurer. Travis is the big shot contractor who built the new Sunday school wing. They're tight, sure, but not that tight. Then I catch them coming out of the shed. Lydia's smoothing her dress. Travis smirking like he just won the lottery. My heart's thumping like a blown tire, but I play it cool, waving them over. Y'all planning a secret sermon back there? I joke, but my voice is tight. Lydia freezes, her blue eyes dodging mine like a deer in headlights. Just talking logistics, babe, she says, twirling her cross necklace, a nervous tick I know too well. Travis claps my shoulder, too hard. Relax, man. We're just making sure the kids' program's a hit. But his grin's got teeth, sharp and smug. Before I can press, Lydia steps up to the picnic's makeshift stage, grabbing the mic. The crowd quiets, expecting her usual spiel about community and Jesus. Instead, she looks right at me, her smile twisting into something venomous. Caleb's been great with the food, she says, voice dripping honey. But let's be real. He's just a grease monkey who'd rather be under a car than with his wife. The crowd gasps. A few chuckle nervously, thinking it's a joke. My face burns. Travis nods along, egging her on like a hype man. Maybe if he cleaned up better, I wouldn't have to handle everything myself, she adds, tossing her hair. The crowd's silent now. Forks paused mid-bite. I'm rooted to the spot, my pride gutted like a fish in front of the whole damn town. I force a laugh, playing it off, but my blood's boiling. Lydia's never talked like that, not in 15 years. Travis, the guy I helped bury his dad, the guy who crashed on my couch when his first wife left, just stands there, smirking. I'm about to drag them both aside when Hank pulls me back. Caleb, heard something weird at the bar last night, he mutters. Folks saying Lydia and Travis are funneling church money into some big project. Sounds fishy. My stomach drops like a bad transmission. The picnic's still buzzing, kids screaming, Pastor Glenn blessing the food. But all I hear is a warning bell in my head. That night, I'm pacing our kitchen. Lydia's humming in the shower like nothing happened. My toolbox brain's turning. Something's off, and it ain't just a loose screw. I grab my phone and text Hank. Dig into this church money thing. Something stinks worse than a busted radiator. I'm no detective, but I've fixed enough wrecks to know when something's about to blow. And trust me, this was about to be a 5-alarm fire. All right, buckle up, because this train's about to derail into a pit of lies and backstabbing. I'm Caleb Monroe, the Tennessee mechanic whose wife, Lydia, and best friend, Travis, decided to gut me like a deer at the church picnic. After Lydia's stunt, calling me a grease monkey in front of the whole damn town, and Hank's whisper about them messing with church funds, I couldn't shake the feeling I'd been played like a cheap fiddle. Time to pop the hood on this mess and figure out what's ticking. Lydia and I go way back. High school prom, stolen kisses in my old Chevy, the works. She was the preacher's daughter type, all sweet smiles and Bible verses, while I was the gearhead who'd rather rebuild a carburetor than recite psalms. We worked, though. She handled the books at my garage. I kept the town's trucks running, and we built a life. Travis? He's been my ride or die since we were kids sneaking beers behind the bleachers. When his first wife bailed, I was the one hauling his sorry ass through the divorce, letting him crash at our place. Hell, I even lent him money to start his construction business. So, seeing them cozy in that shed, her laughing at me like I'm some chump, hit like a wrench to the skull. The week after the picnic, I'm replaying every red flag. Lydia's been working late at the bank, coming home smelling like expensive cologne, not my Old Spice. Travis keeps swinging by, all just checking in, but his eyes linger on her like she's the last rib at the BBQ. And Pastor Glenn, our holier-than-thou preacher, can't stop praising them for their dedication to the church's youth program. I'm no saint, but I smell bullshit stronger than a busted septic tank. Then it hits. The first real clue. I'm balancing the garage's books when I notice our joint account's down 20 grand. Lydia said it was for church donations, some big youth center project she and Travis were spearheading. I'd nodded along, trusting her like a fool. But now, I'm digging through bank statements on our laptop. Password still Caleb Lydia Forever. How pathetic is that? And see, the money didn't go to the church. It's wired to Travis's company, Boone Builds, labeled consulting fees. Consulting? For what? How to screw over your best friend. My blood's pumping like a V8 engine. I call Hank, who's got a cousin at the bank. Check this transfer, I tell him, rattling off the details. An hour later, he's back with a bombshell. Caleb, that money's gone to a new account Travis opened. And get this, Lydia's name's on it too. They're buying plane tickets to Miami, not building no youth center. My vision blurs, rage bubbling like oil in a hot pan. They're not just stealing from me. They're robbing the church, the same one that funds summer camps for kids with no parents. Kids like my nephew, who lost his dad in Iraq. That's low, even for snakes. I'm about to confront Lydia when my phone pings. It's a text from an unknown number. A grainy photo of Lydia and Travis at a bar. Her hand on his thigh, his lips on her neck. The caption? Your wife's got new plans, grease monkey. My stomach churns like I swallowed antifreeze. This ain't just an affair. They're plotting to bolt with the church's money, leaving me holding the bag. And Pastor Glenn's in on it. I'd bet my best wrench. His sermons about sacrificing for the kids feel like a con now. Every hallelujah, a slap to the town's face. I'm not sleeping tonight. The garage is quiet, just me and the hum of fluorescent lights. I grab a beer, stare at the photo, and feel my heart crack like a bad piston. Lydia and Travis think they've got me fooled, but they don't know the storm that's coming. I'm a mechanic. I fix things. And this mess, it's about to get overhauled. All right, y'all. Grab a drink and brace yourselves. This is where the tires hit the mud and the whole damn truck flips. I'm Caleb Monroe, the Tennessee mechanic whose wife, Lydia, and best friend, Travis, thought they could play me for a fool, siphoning 20 grand from our account for their church project while planning to skip town to Miami. That photo of them cozy at a bar with some anonymous jerk calling me grease monkey was the spark that lit my fuse. Now, I'm tearing into this mess like a torque wrench on a rusty bolt, and what I found made my blood run colder than a January oil pan. After finding out Lydia and Travis wired our money to Travis's shady new account, I'm seeing red, but playing it cool. No way I'm confronting them yet. Guys like me don't fix a busted engine by smashing it with a hammer. I call up my buddy Jesse, a nerdy genius who fixes computers faster than I fix carburetors. Jesse's the kind of guy who can hack into a toaster if you ask. So I slide him the bank details and say, "Dig deep, man. Something's rottener than week-old roadkill." He promises to get back to me by morning, and I spend the night in my garage, staring at engine parts like they'll whisper answers. Jesse calls at dawn, voice grim as a flat tire. "Caleb, this ain't just Lydia and Travis. They're working with Pastor Glenn, and it's uglier than sin." My heart's thumping like a bad piston. Glenn's the town's golden boy, preaching fire and brimstone while old ladies stuff his collection plate. Jesse pulls up records. Travis's company, Boone Builds, got donations from the church's youth fund, but there's no construction. Instead, the money's bouncing to offshore accounts, with Glenn's name on half the transfers. "They're stealing from the orphan fund, man," Jesse says. "The one for kids like your nephew. And Glenn's bribing a county clerk to keep it quiet." I'm gut punched. That fund's sacred. Money from bake sales, car washes, folks giving their last dime to help kids with no parents. My sister's boy, Tommy, got through a rough year because of that camp. And Glenn, the guy who baptized half this town, is pocketing it. I'm ready to storm the church and shove his Bible where the sun don't shine, but Jesse stops me. There's more. I hacked Travis's email. They're planning to pin the missing money on you. Say you mismanaged the garage and forced Lydia to cover it. That's the twist that breaks me. Not just stealing from orphans, not just screwing around behind my back, but framing me. The guy who rebuilt this town's trucks, who sponsored Little League, who gave Travis a couch when he had nothing. My hands shake, grease-stained fingers curling into fists. I'm picturing Lydia's fake tears, Travis's smirk, Glenn's sanctimonious drawl, and I know they're laughing at me behind their hymnals. I slip into the church that night, using a key from when I fixed their HVAC. The office smells like old coffee and hypocrisy. I find Glenn's laptop, password Jesus Saves 69, real classy, pastor. There's a file labeled Youth Outreach Final. It's a gold mine. Fake invoices, emails to Travis about splitting the take, and a note from Lydia. Caleb's too dumb to check the books. We're clear. My blood's boiling like overheated coolant, but then I hear voices, Glenn and Lydia, whispering in the sanctuary. I creep closer, phone recording. Glenn's voice is low, oily. "Once we pin this on Caleb, we're golden. The town will eat him alive. Abusive husband, bad businessman. We'll be in Miami by next month. Lydia giggles. That same giggle I used to love. Travis says we'll frame it as domestic abuse. Poor me, trapped with a greasy loser. My heart's a junkyard, but I keep the phone steady. They're planning to ruin me, destroy my name, and dance on the ashes while sipping cocktails. I slip out, my mind racing like a souped-up Mustang. This ain't just betrayal. It's a goddamn conspiracy. Lydia, Travis, and Glenn think they've got the town fooled, but they don't know I'm about to crank this engine to 11. I text Jesse. Get me everything. Bank records, emails, the works. This grease monkey's got a wrench, and it's about to tighten some necks. All right, folks, we're in the deep end now, and the water's thick with betrayal and bullshit. I'm Caleb Monroe, the Tennessee mechanic whose wife, Lydia, best friend, Travis, and our snake in the pulpit, Pastor Glenn, are stealing from the church's orphan fund while plotting to frame me as a deadbeat abuser. That recording of them scheming to pin their scam on me. It's burning a hole in my phone, but I'm not swinging yet. A good mechanic doesn't just yank parts out of an engine. You plan, you prep, you make it purr. And I'm about to make these traitors' lives stall out like a bad alternator. I'm back in my garage, the smell of oil and steel grounding me while my brain's racing like a dragster. That $20K Lydia siphoned from our account, the emails showing Glenn's the puppet master, the plan to paint me as the town's villain. It's a house of cards, and I'm bringing the wind. I call up my old army buddy, Mike, a lawyer who chews liars like jerky. Caleb, he says, voice like gravel. You've got enough to bury them, but we need it airtight. He tells me to gather every scrap. Bank records, emails, that damning recording. I'm already on it, thanks to Jesse, my hacker pal, who's pulling more dirt than a backhoe. Then comes the gut punch twist, the kind that makes you want to puke up your soul. Jesse sends me a new file. Loan documents from the bank, $50K, taken out against my garage. My signature's on it, but I ain't signed jack. Lydia forged it, used her bank job to push it through, and funneled the cash to Travis's account. They're not just stealing from orphans. They're trying to bankrupt my business, the one I built from a rusted shed to the heart of this town. My garage is my American dream. Every wrench turned a middle finger to the idea I'd never amount to anything. And Lydia, the woman I vowed to love forever, is torching it for a Miami fling with a con man. I'm shaking, picturing my tools repossessed, my name dragged through the mud. This ain't just personal. It's a knife in the back of everything I stand for. Hard work, sweat, building something real. I can hear Lydia's voice from that recording, giggling about me being too dumb to check the books. Oh, sweetheart, you're about to learn how sharp a grease monkey's claws can be. Mike says we've got enough for the cops, but I want more than handcuffs. I want the town to see these snakes for what they are. I call Sarah, a reporter for the local paper who's been sniffing around Glenn's shady deals for years. She's tough, the kind of woman who'd stare down a tornado and take notes. I send her everything: the forged loan, the offshore accounts, the recording of Glenn and Lydia plotting my downfall. Caleb, she says, this is dynamite. Let's blow it up at the harvest service. That's the church's big annual shindig, where every soul in town shows up to pray, eat, and gossip. Perfect stage to drop a bomb. I spend the next few days playing dumb. Lydia's at home, humming hymns like she's Mother Teresa, while Travis swings by with his fake grin, talking about expanding the youth center. Glenn's preaching extra loud at Sunday service, probably to drown out his own guilt. I nod along, my face a mask, but inside, I'm wiring this plan like a custom hot rod. Sarah's got the evidence ready to splash across the paper. Mike's prepping a legal sledgehammer, and Jesse's hacking one last surprise: access to Glenn's private church server, where he keeps his personal sermons. Spoiler: they're not about Jesus. The night before the harvest service, I'm in the garage, polishing my plan like a chrome bumper. My phone buzzes. Another anonymous text. Back off, grease monkey, or you'll lose more than your shop. It's got Travis's slimy fingerprints all over it. I grin, sharp as a razor. Threaten me? Big mistake. These clowns think they're driving this race, but I'm about to throw their engine into reverse. All right, y'all. This is where the rubber meets the road and the whole damn car explodes. I'm Caleb Monroe, the Tennessee mechanic whose wife, Lydia, best friend, Travis, and our crooked pastor Glenn thought they could rob the church's orphan fund, frame me as a deadbeat, and bankrupt my garage with a forged $50,000 loan. I've got their scam locked down. Bank records, emails, a recording of them plotting to ruin me, and I'm about to drop it like a sledgehammer at the harvest service, the town's biggest church event. Picture every busybody, Bible thumper, and BBQ lover packed into First Baptist, ready to pray and pig out. Perfect time to serve up some ice-cold justice. The church is buzzing, pews crammed with folks in their Sunday best, kids fidgeting, and Glenn at the pulpit, droning about community sacrifice like he didn't just steal from orphans. Lydia's in the front row, all prim in a floral dress, twirling that damn cross necklace. Travis is beside her, smirking like he owns the place. I'm in the back, heart pounding like a jackhammer, with Sarah the reporter and Mike the lawyer ready to roll. Jesse's hooked up the church's projector to Glenn's private server, thanks to that Jesus Saves 69 password. Game on. Glenn's mid-sermon, waving his arms about the children's future, when I stand up, slow and deliberate. The organ player fumbles and heads turn. "Pastor," I say, voice cutting through the hush like a buzzsaw. "Mind if I share a word?" Glenn's smile twitches, but he can't say no without looking like a jackass. I nod to Sarah, who hits play on my phone, blasting the recording through the church speakers. Lydia's voice fills the air. Caleb's too dumb to check the books. We're clear. Then Glenn. Pin it on him. Abusive husband, bad businessman. We'll be in Miami by next month. Gasps ripple through the crowd like a stone in a pond. I step to the pulpit, projector flickering to life behind me. Up pop Travis's bank transfers, Lydia's forged loan docs, and Glenn's emails about bribing the county clerk. The congregation's frozen, jaws on the floor. "This," I say, pointing at the screen, "is your pastor, your treasurer, and your contractor stealing from our kids to fund their getaway." Lydia's face goes ghost white. Travis bolts for the door, but my buddy Hank and a couple of ex-Marines block him like a human wall. "Sit down, traitor," Hank growls. Then the real gut punch. A woman stands up. Jenny, a single mom who lost her husband in a mill accident. Her voice shakes, but cuts like a blade. "Pastor Glenn told me I'd lose my kid's camp spot unless I helped him after hours." The crowd erupts, old ladies clutching their pearls, men shouting. Jenny's tears hit the pews, and I see red. Glenn, the man who buried half this town's grandparents, preying on a grieving widow? That's beyond low. It's a sin even Satan wouldn't touch. The church feels like a powder keg, and I just lit the fuse. Lydia tries to spin it, sobbing. It's a misunderstanding. Caleb's lying. But the crowd's done with her. Liar, yells Mrs. Thompson, who runs the bake sale. You stole from our kids, Travis shouts. This is a setup. But nobody's buying it. Glenn stammers, the devil's testing us. And I laugh, cold as ice. No, Pastor, the devil's you. Sarah signals the cops waiting outside. Mike's tip-off worked. Sirens wail as officers storm in, cuffing Glenn, Lydia, and Travis in front of the whole damn town. The crowd's cheering now, a righteous roar, as Lydia's fake tears smear her mascara and Travis's smirk crumples like cheap tinfoil. I walk out, head high, past folks clapping my back like I just won the Super Bowl. The air's electric, justice crackling like a live wire. But I'm not done. This engine's still revving. Glenn's empire, Lydia's lies, Travis's betrayal. They're about to learn what happens when you cross a grease monkey with a grudge. All right, folks, we're at the finish line, and this engine's purring like a dream. I'm Caleb Monroe, the Tennessee mechanic who caught my wife, Lydia, my best friend, Travis, and our sleazeball pastor Glenn, stealing from the church's orphan fund, forging loans to bankrupt my garage, and plotting to frame me as a deadbeat. I dropped the hammer at the harvest service, exposing their lies to the whole town with bank records, emails, and a recording that had them cuffed and crying. But the story ain't over. Justice don't stop at handcuffs, and I'm about to rev this thing to the red line. After the church showdown, the fallout hits like a Tennessee tornado. Travis gets slapped with a 7-year sentence for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Turns out, his construction business was a front for laundering church cash. Lydia's fired from the bank, charged as an accessory, and pulls 6 months in county lockup. Pastor Glenn, his holy mask is dust. He's stripped of his collar, hit with a 12 counts of fraud and bribery, and facing a civil suit from the church. Word is, inmates don't take kindly to preachers who rob kids, and Glenn's learning that the hard way. Whispers of shakedowns and shivs trail him like exhaust fumes. But here's the final twist, the one that makes you want to spit nails and cheer at the same time. A week after the arrests, Sarah, my reporter pal, digs up a bombshell. Travis has a secret kid, a 4-year-old girl, with a waitress named Becky from the next town over. He'd been stringing her along, promising a family, while using Lydia as his ticket to Miami. When Becky hears about the church scam, she shows up at my garage, tears in her eyes, kid on her hip. He said he'd take care of us, she says. I'm gutted. Another victim of Travis's lies. I tell her about Lydia's meltdown in court, where she sobbed when the judge read out Travis's emails calling her a means to an end. Lydia thought she was his queen. Turns out, she was just another pawn. That betrayal stings her worse than the jail time. The town rallies like I've never seen. Folks who bought my burgers at the picnic start a fund to save my garage from Lydia's forged loan. Old man Jenkins, who's been driving the same Ford since Nixon, drops off a check with a grunt. Build something better, son. I pay off the debt, expand the shop, and turn it into a community hub. I start a program teaching foster kids to wrench. Oil changes, tire swaps, the works. My nephew Tommy's the first to sign up, grinning as he tightens his first lug nut. It's the kind of work that fills your chest, like a V8 hitting full throttle. Lydia and Travis. They're ghosts now. After jail, they slink to a rundown trailer park outside Knoxville, shunned like lepers. Lydia's waiting tables at a Greasy Spoon, her cross necklace long gone, while Travis's name is Mud. Nobody'll hire a backstabber who robbed orphans. Becky's suing him for child support, and last I heard, Lydia's filed for divorce, realizing Travis played her like a cheap fiddle. Glenn's in a cell, his sermons replaced by court dates. The town's got a new pastor, a straight shooter who actually gives a damn. Me? I'm a new man. The garage is booming, packed with gearheads swapping stories of betrayal and comeback. I'm seeing Sarah, the reporter. She's got a laugh that cuts through the grease and a heart tougher than my best socket wrench. We're planning a road trip, maybe a future. One night, I host a bonfire behind the shop. The whole town gathered. We torch a wooden effigy of a snake, flames licking the sky like a middle finger to the past. Cheers roar, beers clink, and I feel peace, heavy and real, like a perfectly balanced tire. Lydia tried calling once, begging for cash. I hung up. She and Travis made their bed. Let them choke on the sheets. My life's rebuilt, stronger, fiercer. So, Reddit, AETA, for airing their dirty laundry and thriving while they crash? Didn't think so.